Hello, Canned Cream here, CC for short, and today I would like to talk to you about Pinkie Pie's actions in Filli Vanilli.
They'll turn on you becoming a seething, angry mob, and you'll be horribly humiliated, never able to show your face in Ponyville again! Pinkie Pie!
Or, to be exact, why some of y'all need to calm the F down. It's a topic that I've discussed with other analysts a few times, but I wanted to go ahead and make my thoughts on the matter public. To officially start this off, there is one point I think we can all agree on no matter what. Pinkie done goofed. She took what she said a little too far and upset Fluttershy, making an unpleasant situation worse. Now, this is where fans seem to diverge between those who defend Pinkie and those who accuse her based upon her actions. Personally, I stand firmly in her defense, and this is why. Pinkie is a good and kind-hearted mare. Her greatest joy in life is making those around her happy. She almost never has a bad word to say about anyone and often goes miles out of her way for everyone else's benefit. But with that said, she is not always the most observant of ponies, especially when she becomes fixated on something. Pinkie Pie is often so random and so all over the place that it seems likely that she often has a million different thoughts bouncing in and out of her head at any given moment. And I believe this is what accounts for her spontaneity. Some may say that she is too inconsistent as a character, but I disagree. I believe what we're seeing is just her vocalization of some of these thoughts. However, when a particular idea or train of thought does take root inside of her head, we've seen Pinkie almost obsessively follow it through. And nowhere is this evidence more blatant than in her party planning. We've even seen her exclaim as much herself.
Parties are serious.
This is why Pinkie is so great at what she does. It's one of the few cases where she is focusing 100% of her normally sporadic attention upon a singular task, almost to the point where she shuts off the outside world entirely. But even when her mind is not so preoccupied, she can still be a little dense about how others are feeling. For example, in both Griffin the Brush-Off and A Friend Indeed, Pinkie misses a plethora of rather obvious cues from both Gilda and Cranky that her presence was not wanted. Something that Pinkie either fails to pick up on or ignores entirely. But I can already hear your argument. Both Cranky and Griffin were strangers, but Fluttershy is her friend. She should know better. Well, yes. Actually, she should. And I think she does. After all, the story she was spouting was pretty specific to Fluttershy's fears. However, I feel like a lot of fans are looking at this instance from the wrong angle. This is Fluttershy we're talking about. And her emotions are perhaps one of the most volatile among her friends. Not in a violent way.
You're going to love me!
Well, not always. But she is very sensitive and very easy to set off, to the point where it's sometimes hard to tell exactly what is going to frighten her. And like Twilight, once she starts getting inside of her own head, it's very hard to pull her back out again. So when you have a character as openly bombastic as Pinkie, friends with another as reserved as Fluttershy, eventually those two personalities are going to clash, and Pinkie's more dominant one is going to trample over the other. And while her words may have had a bad outcome, I don't believe there's anything vicious about her intent. In the first instance, I think Pinkie just lost herself inside of a single thought. What started off as her honestly excited for her friend sort of went off on a tangent where she kind of forgot what she was saying and who she was saying it to. After all, Rarity does need to smack her out of her stupor, after which Pinkie seems to be oblivious about the situation at hand. Then, in the second case, she is trying to empathize with Fluttershy's point of view. While once again, Pinkie did what Pinkie does, take a simple situation and go way over the top with it, she was still trying to reassure her friend. In her own head, she thought she was doing the right thing, unaware that what she was thinking and what she was saying did not come across as intended, something I think we can all relate to. When Fluttershy starts crying, Pinkie looks honestly upset. realizing that she's done something wrong, but doesn't know what until Twilight says it aloud. And then in the very final instance, when Pinkie says,
"No offense, you kind of sounded like a dude."
This is an example of how Pinkie doesn't really have the same filter that the rest of us do. You know, the one that prevents us from saying every random thought that comes into our head, but instead weeds out the insensitive ones for others more appropriate to the situation. So what some may see as a cruel, even vicious behavior, I suggest is actually a series of rather good examples of her character. Were they harmful and counterproductive actions casting Pinkie in a poor light? Yes, they were, and I will not argue that point. But were they done purposely so on her part, making Pinkie a bad friend and a bad character? Well, to answer this, I would like to paraphrase Twilight from Rarity Takes Manhattan. Last episode, we may not have seen Pinkie at her best, but we know her, and we should not let one thing like that change how we feel about her. So, my fellow bronies and bronesses, I ask you to look into your hearts and forgive Pinkie for her actions. Understand that we all have lapses in character, we all make mistakes, and we all do things we don't intend. Pinkie did a bad thing, but she is not a bad person. And by the end, since Fluttershy could forgive her friend, I hope that you can too. Thank you very much for watching. Kindly post your own thoughts below, and as always,
Stay pony, my friends.